Preparing for retirement can feel pretty daunting if you don't know where to start. From investments to taxes to income planning, Social Security, and just everything else, there's a lot to consider. And if you're trying to retire in 2025, time's ticking. So in this video, I want to share with you 6 things that you should do before you retire. Hi, my name is Jacob Duke, and as the owner of a retirement planning firm, I get an inside look into people's situations all the time. I see those who are well prepared for retirement and those who are simply hoping that it works out. But hope isn't a very good plan. So let's dive into these 6 things together to see what you can do to be better prepared. The first and perhaps most important thing that you should do is get a good understanding of your spending. In fact, everything around retirement planning hinges on how much you spend. If you don't know how much you spend on a monthly basis, you really can't run any projections. You have no idea where to go in terms of, do I have enough? Which is the biggest question most people have on their mind is, do I have enough to retire? You can't answer that question until you know how much you spend on a monthly basis. So what I find is most people end up spending more than they think on a monthly basis, and people who are close to retirement typically don't track that because they're likely making more money than they ever have, typically going to be making more money than they really need. They're saving money to their 401ks and things like that, but they really don't know how much they spend on a monthly basis. So what does it look like to figure this out? Well, I recommend doing a spending audit. Now, what is a spending audit? I say go back over the last 12 months. So take the last year that you have, go through all of your bills, everything you've paid out of your checking account. So take all your credit card payments, all of your debit card payments, all your recurring payments that you have, put that all in one big number. So add it all up, take the last 12 months, and then what you can do is take that amount, divide it by 12, and that'll be your monthly average over the last 12 months. But Jacob, I had to buy a car, I had to, a medical bill, or I had an AC unit that I had to repair. Shouldn't I leave those things out? Those are kind of one-off items that typically aren't normal. And the answer is maybe, but I would say try to leave as many of the one-offs in as possible. Maybe don't include the car purchase there on the average for the year, but if you have an AC unit that you had to repair or something else that's out of the ordinary, I'd probably leave those in, because what I've found is yes, those are one-offs and they don't happen every single year, but the problem is that particular item doesn't happen every year, but a one-off typically does. So if this year it's an AC unit, next year it could be a medical bill, and vice versa. So leave all the one-offs in, because what I found is even though they're one-offs, there's a one-off happening pretty much any given year. So that's the first thing, is go back over the last 12 months, figure out how much you've spent on an average over that 12-month period. And then you have to figure out, will that continue in the future? So maybe you have a mortgage right now that's not going to be continuing for the rest of your life. In fact, it could be paid off right before you retire. Well, you might want to back that out of your monthly spending in retirement to factor that in appropriately. Also, you might have a car payment or something like that, or any sort of debt payment that wouldn't be factored in your future spending as well in retirement. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't follow the rule of thumb of 80% of your current income or 80% of your current spending amount is what you're going to spend in retirement. I would probably just say, hey, what am I spending truly every single month? And then assume that you're going to keep living that same lifestyle as you go throughout retirement. So don't follow all the rules of thumb you might see online. Really figure it out for yourself and say, hey, this is an accurate spending number for me currently, and this could be the same here in retirement. The second thing you've got to do is take inventory of your assets. So what do you own and where is all of it? So you might own a home, you might have an IRA or a 401k or a brokerage account. Perhaps you have a Roth IRA or some sort of other investments, maybe a rental property or something like that. Take inventory of everything. And what I found too is that most people over their working career build up multiple 401ks from multiple jobs, and they're still at those old 401ks and they haven't done any rollovers or consolidation. So people end up with a lot of accounts. Part of this step here is organization. You want to get organized. You want to take some time to get things organized and make it a lot simpler for yourself so that you know what you have and where it all is. Part of this step is going to be also figuring out, how are all these different assets going to be taxed? Maybe you have an IRA, a Roth IRA, and a brokerage account. Those 3 different account types are going to be taxed differently. And whenever it comes to planning out your retirement, as it comes to building out your tax plan, it's important to know these things, because your strategies could change from, doing Roth conversions or not versus doing tax gain harvesting or not, or something like that, or even deciding when you should take Social Security based on the type of investments that you might have. So all of that comes into play here in terms of taking inventory of your overall net worth and where everything is. Maybe you have some debt still on your balance sheet. Figure that out. What's the interest rates? When are the payoffs going to be completed? Or should you pay that off a little bit sooner? So that's step 2. Understand where everything is. I personally believe in keeping things really simple. So try to simplify it as much as you can before you enter this next phase of your life. The third thing that you should probably focus on doing is diversifying your investments. Maybe you have been gifted company stock over time, or maybe you've purchased company stock over time because that's been a part of your retirement plan. Well, that's a good thing. You may be growing your 401k or your overall net worth because of that, but we're kind of moving and shifting from a growth phase to a preservation phase. Now, does that mean that you should not own any stocks in your portfolio in retirement? Absolutely not. In fact, I believe that when it comes to preservation, you have to own growth assets in order to beat inflation over time. Preservation does not mean really conservative. What it means is we have to take risk the right way. So diversification helps you eliminate the unnecessary risks of picking the wrong stocks or even the wrong sectors of the market. So want to make sure we broadly diversify our investments across US stocks, large and small, international stocks, emerging markets, all these different factors, growth and tech and, dividend stocks, all these different companies that we could own. And by doing this, what you're going to do is you're going to lower your overall portfolio risk and you're going to lower that volatility a little bit for yourself. And that's going to be valuable from a mental perspective. One of the hardest parts about retirement is whenever you have a portfolio that's going up and down in value wildly every single day or every single month or even every single year, and it gives you a little bit of stress or worry, right? We don't want that because it'll end up causing you to make poor decisions on the investment side of things, which again, that's going to be even more detrimental than the volatility itself. So we want to have a plan that's sustainable and something that we can execute, because if we're trying to chase the highest returns in retirement, we're probably going to find something that we're not going to be able to do long term. That's not the goal here. We want to make sure we have enough money the rest of our lives. So we need to own some higher growth assets in our portfolio. We just need to do it the right way. So if you've got company stock or something like that you've been gifted, maybe think about diversifying out of that as you enter retirement so that you're not holding on to something that's really concentrated that could cause a lot of problems in the first few years through sequence of return risks or something like that. The fourth thing you should think about doing is building out your retirement income timeline. So follow along here as I go, but grab a piece of paper and build this out for yourself. Think about it this way. Let's say you retire here today. Now we want to build out this timeline and kind of see where our income sources are going to come from throughout the rest of our life. So let's say we're 60 today at retirement. Well, the first opportunity we have at income that's fixed outside of our IRA distributions is going to be Social Security, and that would maybe be at 62, right? Well, that's not our full retirement age, but our full retirement age could be 67. So that could also be Social Security. We could say this one was 2,000. This one was 3,000. So that's an opportunity. We could build this out. So which one we choose that we want to go with, we can select that here in the future. Maybe we have a pension as well that would turn on at 65, right? That pension's $1,000 a month. And so what you can see is if we don't do this one, let's say we start here, and also we can kind of build this like this. We can say right here, we have $1,000 a month. That's going to be the first thing we need coming in from a pension. Now, whenever we look at this, let's say we need a total income. Instead of 1,000, we need $3,000 a month. So 1,000 is coming from a pension, but we're 2,000 short. Okay, perfect. Now, once we get to Social Security age, we have our pension here, right? And then our Social Security on top of that is actually $3,000. So now that actually is going to fill up all of our income need. So what we have here is we might say, hey, we're going to have our income needs met throughout the rest of retirement because of our pension and our Social Security. And before that, though, we've got to figure out how to fill in those different income needs. Right here, we can say every single year, we're going to have different sources of income. We're going to have money from different places, right, to fill up our income needs for that 6 to 7 year gap if we don't decide to take Social Security early. So what you can see is you can start saying, hey, based on these ages, here's the income that I'm going to have over these different years, and here's how much I'm going to be short before these other fixed income sources turn on. Also, you can think about different things like once you get to, let's say, 73 or 75, depending on when your birth year is, you can think about RMDs, right? So that's going to kick in at some point. You can also think about QCDs here. If you're charitable in any capacity, you can think about how that might benefit you in that way. What happens if someone passes away at 80? And a surviving spouse is still left? That means their tax rate could increase due to the widow's tax strap. So there's a lot going on here, but what I would say is to get a mental framework of where your income is going to come from. Obviously, this is a pretty bad example of that, but what you can do is maybe see, hey, at this age, I'm going to have this much income. At this age, I'm going to have this much income. It's going to increase because of whatever it is might be coming in. Social Security is turning on, a pension starting, distributions from an IRA, distributions from a brokerage account, or something like that. So that's the fourth thing you need to do, is build out your retirement income timeline to see where your income is going to come from every single year throughout retirement, so that you can decide what's best for you around where to pull from first and what the tax implications of all that might be. You can build a better tax plan based on having this understanding of your retirement income timeline. The fifth thing that you should do is build cash. This is probably one of my favorite things to recommend, because most people enter retirement with a large 401k, but minimal after-tax assets. They might have $20,000 or $30,000 bucks in a bank account, but having $100,000 or $200,000 in after-tax money could be critical for all the strategies that are at play. Maybe you need to do Roth conversions, but you don't have any cash to pay the taxes on the conversion. So your conversions are going to be less beneficial for you unless you have that cash to pay the tax with. Also, too, there's a peace of mind factor here. You've got to have a little bit of cushion in the bank to help you kind of stay the course throughout retirement. So if your $1 million gets cut down to $800,000 due to market volatility in the first year of retirement, if you don't have that cash on the sidelines kind of sitting in your bank account, giving you a peace at night, kind of a sleep factor, if you don't have that, then you're not going to withstand the volatility and withstand the portfolio that you probably need to have throughout the rest of your life. So there's a couple different components here. Yes, there's a math component, actually having money to do some of the different strategies with, but also there's a peace of mind component that's mental, that having cash actually gives you a huge advantage in. So think about building cash because you can pay more tax on your Roth conversion with that. Having access to that after-tax liquidity is going to be something that gives you that peace of mind. And maybe you're thinking, Jacob, well, how do I do this? Like, how do I actually build cash if I don't have it already and I'm getting really close to retirement? Well, think about maybe stopping your 401k contributions at least above the match. Think about what you can take home extra rather than putting that in a tax-deferred account or even a Roth 401k for that matter. Find a way to get money in your hand. Find a way to pay tax on that now while you're earning an income. That way you have a little bit bigger cushion for yourself once you do get to retirement. So stopping your 401k contributions is something that you should maybe think about. I don't know if it's right for you necessarily, but you should evaluate it to see if it could be beneficial. All right, the sixth and final thing that I recommend here is to create a retirement vision, but also start living as if you're retired today. A lot of people don't know what they're going to do in retirement. They've been working their whole life. They've had a team of people they worked with, a bunch of great colleagues that they really enjoy. And now they're going to enter this new phase of life where they're not going to see as many people every single day. They don't know what they're going to do necessarily. They don't have any hobbies that they, I guess, especially enjoy. So you have to form those new hobbies, create new relationships. All these different things are a big change, and sometimes they're really hard for people. In fact, I had a conversation not too long ago with a client of mine. She retired about a year ago, and I asked her how it was going, and she said, well, it's going okay, but it's not what I thought it would be. There's just not as much fun happening that I thought I might be having, and that's not an uncommon story. It's something that's realistic for a lot of people because, again, you kind of leave this cycle, this structure, this kind of your daily flow or weekly flow that you're used to, and now you kind of enter this, well, I have an abundance of time. I have unlimited resources to do what I want to do every single day, but I don't know what to do. So what I recommend is start living as if you're retired today. So if you want to go on vacations 3 times a year in retirement, take the final year before you retire to go on 3 vacations. See if you actually like vacations, right? Maybe you want to pick up a new hobby. So pickleball. I love pickleball. Maybe you would like that as well. Start playing today rather than waiting until you get there and saying, man, I don't like pickleball. That's what I planned my whole retirement around, is playing pickleball, but now I don't even like it. Or golf could be a good substitute for pickleball instead. If you're trying to pick up golf, well, go start playing now as opposed to the day you retire. So all these things, just start doing them now before you retire. And what I would say is really cast a vision for yourself. Like, what does a day in the life of you being retired look like? Does it mean waking up at a certain time to go get a workout in, or go get a run in, or go to breakfast with a friend, and then maybe lunch with a spouse or another friend, or whatever it is? Think about how you spend your days, spend your week, offer time at the local church or charity that you value and want to spend time at. Those are the things that I think are really the good part about retirement. No one wakes up thinking, hey, I'm going to think about the best way to do a Roth conversion today. They think about, hey, I have resources and time to spend with family, friends, loved ones, and actually do the things that I want to do that I've had to put off for so long. Now's my opportunity to do that. So kind of get a vision for yourself and your family and what that looks like. And then you can actually put a reason behind it, a purpose behind the whole point of even retiring. Instead of just going from what you don't want to do, think of it as something that you're going to start doing. So not what you're leaving, but really it's more about what you're going to begin. So hopefully these 6 things are helpful. Let me know in the comments if they are or what you would add to them. Obviously, they're not a comprehensive list, but these things should get you started on the right track. So I hope this helps, and we'll see you next time.